Hello, this is Soundout here, back with another Transformers review. Today we're taking a look at the Transformers Age of Extinction Deluxe Class Scorn. Alright, so here we have the second Dinobot for the Age of Extinction line, Scorn, who is just freaking awesome, because he's a Spinosaurus, and when do we get Spinosaurus Dinobots? Like, never. Anyways, Scorn here is number 004 in the series M4 of the Deluxe Class Generations, and his packaging is very similar to Slug's, with the Scorn picture on it. And if you want to see more of the packaging, buy this figure, because this guy is awesome. Easily my favorite Dinobot of the three that have been released. Scorn here is really cool. He is a Spinosaurus, and he is a Spinosaurus on spikes, which seems to be a type of drug that Transformers take before appearing in live-action movies, because he's got spikes everywhere. His spine is spikes, his tail is spikes, his legs are spikes, his head is spikes, his teeth are spikes. He's spiky, very spiky. But speaking of spikes and articulation, this guy is the most articulated of all the Dinobots, at least of the ones I have so far. His head can pivot left and right, but his throat does get ripped out when you go too far. It does slightly turn here, left and right. His mouth does open and close, which is awesome. His tail does not have any articulation when you're properly transformed, but he has ball-jointed arms, and his legs do have quite a bit of movement in that they can move. But balancing this guy is kind of tricky since his tail is heavier than his head, which leads to several poses of him kind of falling forward in that regard. But opening his mouth kind of helps balance him just a bit. He is a tricky balancer, that's for sure, as he doesn't really have a heel spur. That kind of rhymed, wow. Anyways, that being said, Scorn is pretty cool. I do like his Dino mode. The orange highlights just accentuate the red very nicely, and green eyes. Looks like I really want this figure to be repainted into Toba Spino, and then back into Gabutira. But that's just me and my Kyoryuger fan fiction where they're Dinobots. Anyways, without further ado, let's transform Scorn, because that's about as standing as he's going to get. Alright, to transform Scorn, you pick him up off the ground as he's fallen over from his counterbalance, and you begin with the head. First off, you want to close his mouth and put his throat away. That's really awkward saying. Now, if you've ever seen my review of Kyoryujin from Juden Sentai Kyoryuger, you'll notice a lot of similarities in this. But you want to fold that back piece down, you want to remove his arms and bring them down. You want to turn his waist, and as that happens, his head comes up. See the Kyoryuger similarities now? You want to unpeg and turn his spines so that they fit into his back like that. This becomes his arm. This becomes his other hand, which actually does a neat little bit of transformation. Opening his mouth all the way, first of all, will lock it into place, and then you fold a hand out of his head, which, again, sounds weird. You want to bring down his legs, fold down these pieces here, open up his shins, bring forward the foot of his robot mode, which you do twice because symmetrical legs. Always the most boring part of a Transformer is when you have two of the same thing happening at the same time. Go around his back and fold his little dino arms back up against there. And last but not least, you pull up the head. And now we have Scorn in robot mode. And now we take a look at Scorn's robot mode, which is freaking awesome. He does suffer from having a tail for an arm, but it works with the medieval knight look of having it be a lance. His legs, I love how they expand like this. This is a genius idea on Hasbro's part. I really do like that kind of engineering. These weird teeth things do bug me, as his dinosaur head is obviously right here. Where did these teeth come from? But other than that, the hand does look a bit weird with this giant gaping hole in it. And you do have the option of making it a, well, T-Rex hand, or a Spinosaurus hand. You can have his Dino mode head be a hand if you'd like, just to be more like Beast Wars Megatron. But I do actually like the hand in the middle of the head thing. I just really don't like it with the mouth open. And this may just be me, but I just don't like having the mouth open. So I typically just kind of leave this piece like that and leave the mouth closed because it looks a little bit better. Also, another thing away from the official transformation is these dino arms. They don't need to be here on the back. You can actually fold them around to the front. Credit goes to TJ Omega for showing that in his video and me thinking it was cool to copy it. Because it is. Transformers. The fans find better transformations than the official sources sometimes. Anyways, that being said, really cool design with the spines on his back from the fin, and just overall looks really cool. I do like the red color. Again, like I said with the Slug review, I like how the Dinobots aren't just the standard gray that they seem to be in all the official images, and that they are these different colors. It does lend to a more of a Super Sentai kind of look when you have them all lined up, but it does make each Dinobot distinct, aside from their dinosaur type, which in robot mode is good. But that being said, what is a guy without articulation? Well, he's got ball joint neck, which is good to start. He's got 360 shoulders, he's got outward arm movement that is a little restrictive, a bicep swivel, and an elbow bend over here, and a bicep swivel, and an elbow bend over here, thanks to that rotating neck joint. No hand articulation aside from being able to pivot in slightly. He does have an upper waist articulation, sort of. It just kind of turns for the transformation. Outward leg movement, forward, back leg movement, thigh swivel, double, well, it's got a knee and then another knee, so it's kind of double knee, but it's just kind of weird. Yeah. And no real foot articulation. But he is quite sturdy and stands on his own. Now, what was really cool is that, having all this, he could be pretty good with that dinosaur lance tail thing. But no, we need another weapon, and that is this little knife that pops out of the lance. So you are all set with Scorn has a knife and a tail lance arm. He is the most prepared for battle of any Dinobot I've seen. So overall, Scorn is really cool, especially when you get his transformation working in ways you like. There is a lot of ways to fan mode him into a position that you'd like him in, and I really do enjoy the figure. He's definitely my favorite of the three, but that being said, our next Dinobot is by no means a terrible figure, because he's the leader of the Dinobots, the King Grimlock, which we'll take a look at next time. So always be sure to stay tuned to HeroTaku.com for Transformers news, reviews, and more. Discuss Transformers on the HeroTaku.com forums at HeroTaku.com/forums. And talks to Soundout saying, stay tuned for more Age of Extinction toys, and goodbye.